The man who opened the gates of Hogwarts to Harry Potter was once expelled from those very same gates. The greatest fortress of the wizarding world cast him out, and yet he chose to spend a lifetime standing at its doors. Without understanding this irony, it's impossible to understand Hagrid. If this is your first time on this channel, make sure to subscribe, because here, we don't analyze characters from the surface, we break them down from their roots. Rubeus Hagrid was one of the strangest contradictions in the wizarding world. His father was a capable but ordinary wizard. His mother, however, was a giant, Fred Wolfe, feared and looked down upon by society. Even before he was born, Hagrid carried a stigma. Giant blood was a source of shame in the wizarding world. Giants were seen as savage, uncontrollable, and untrustworthy. The Wizarding Society used them as weapons of war, but never saw them as equals. Hagrid's physical appearance constantly reminded everyone of this prejudice. His towering height, shovel-sized hands, and thick beard made him impossible to ignore in any crowd. He couldn't hide. He couldn't conceal his difference. He couldn't even behave like a normal wizard. His body simply wouldn't allow it. From a young age, he had to accept this truth. He would always be the other. Hagrid's mother left him when he was only 3 years old. She saw her son as small, weak, and useless. Among giants, Hagrid was a dwarf. Among wizards, he was a giant. He didn't fully belong anywhere. His mother's abandonment became the first major turning point of his life. To be rejected by a mother, especially one who shares your nature, shakes your sense of identity to its core. Hagrid was neither fully a wizard nor fully a giant. He lived on the edge of both worlds, and that edge became his identity. His father loved him, raised him, and did everything he could, but he was a small man. Hagrid grew big enough to carry him on his shoulders. This physical contrast didn't weaken their bond. Instead, it taught Hagrid that love has nothing to do with size, strength, or appearance. When his father died, Hagrid was only 12 years old, a second-year student. His mother was long gone, and now his father was buried as well. At 12, he was completely alone in the world. This loneliness shaped the way he formed attachments forever. Not because he feared losing, but because he was already used to loss. He clung tightly to everything he found. For Hagrid, Hogwarts wasn't just a school. It was the only place that replaced a family. For the first time, he felt like he belonged. His classmates, teachers, corridors, and grounds all became a form of family. But just as he discovered this sense of belonging, everything was taken away from him. Tom Riddle, the student who would later become Lord Voldemort, opened the Chamber of Secrets and unleashed a creature that attacked Muggle-born students. One student died. The school was on the verge of being shut down, and Riddle placed the blame on Hagrid. The fact that Hagrid had secretly been raising a giant spider named Aragog was enough to make the accusation believable. No one investigated the truth. No one defended Hagrid's innocence. No one trusted the word of a half-giant. Tom Riddle, on the other hand, was brilliant, respected, and admired. The choice was clear. In the eyes of the system, the trustworthy one won. The other lost. Hagrid's wand was snapped. He was officially banned from performing magic. He was expelled from school, yet he hid the broken pieces of his wand inside a pink umbrella and never openly used magic again, only in secret, almost with shame. This detail may seem small, but it perfectly summarizes Hagrid's existence. A man who hides his power, conceals his identity, and tries to appear less than he truly is. Dumbledore intervened and allowed Hagrid to remain at Hogwarts as the keeper of keys and grounds. This decision became the second major turning point in Hagrid's life. Dumbledore believed in him. This act laid the foundation for Hagrid's absolute loyalty to Dumbledore. He trusted him completely. Was this blind loyalty? Yes, but considering Hagrid's circumstances, it was an understandable defense mechanism. Dumbledore was the only person who kept the door open for a child who had lost everything. And Hagrid remained loyal to that gesture for the rest of his life. Hagrid's fascination with dangerous creatures wasn't just a quirky hobby. It was deeply connected to his identity crisis. He saw himself in these creatures. To accept that they were dangerous would mean rejecting his own nature. His bonds with Norbert, Buckbeak, and Aragog were all reflections of his struggle with rejection. Every creature was a manifestation of his unspoken promise: I won't abandon you. Hagrid's relationship with Harry Potter was not a coincidence. It was deeply meaningful. He was the first magical person to enter Harry's life. When Hagrid told Harry, "You're a wizard, Harry," he wasn't just sharing information, he was giving him an identity. He saw Harry not as a tool, but as a child who needed protection. Hagrid never tried to control him. He simply stood by him, a big, warm, reliable presence. But Hagrid wasn't perfect. His greatest weakness was his inability to keep secrets. This wasn't stupidity. It came from his deep need to be accepted. When someone showed him attention, he felt valued and became vulnerable. Even as a teacher, this pattern continued. He was kind, passionate, and knowledgeable, but his perception of danger was distorted. He saw the world through his own scale, which often led to misunderstandings and setbacks. At the end of the series, Hagrid carried Harry for the second time. The first time, he carried him into life. The last time, he carried him as if to death. This was the cruelest symmetry in Hagrid's story. And yet, Hagrid did not break. He fought. He endured. He was a child who had been abandoned, but he became an adult who refused to abandon others. He had every reason to turn his back on the world, but he didn't. Instead, he built a small hut, made his tea, and kept his door open to everyone. Anyone who walked through that door, hero or ordinary, was welcomed with the same warmth. To understand Hagrid is to understand one of the most important lessons of the Harry Potter universe. True strength is not in magic, but in continuing to love despite being broken. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Goodbye.